Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Rob here with RD Tech yet again, bringing you another video. Today, this video is going to be going over a tool that I found to be invaluable once I had actually found it and began utilizing it. It's something that, when you're starting out building a computer, couldn't be more useful. What I'm talking about, of course, is PCPartPicker. If you've never heard of it, it's a great site to use to, well, pick your PC parts. It's pretty self-explanatory. Alright, so we're going to get there by Googling PC part picker. Alright, there it is. Alright, so this is the front page. As you can see, I'm already signed in there. Basically, you got different sections. So you got starter system build, view the build guides, see all completed builds, and you can browse by individual parts. So you're going to have build guides that show up right here at different price points. That's pretty useful. There's a blog that you can see. It's got different little builds on it and sometimes giveaways and stuff like that. These are more completed builds down here, but what we're going to start off with first is start a system build. This is a tool that I used when I was deciding what parts I wanted to put in my first rig. It's also what I used when I decided what I was going to put in my buddy's rig that we built last week. So the thing that this can't do for you is, start with it can't give you the goal that you want to complete. So you have to start this coming into it with a goal in mind. So say like you want, today we're going to put together Kaby Lake build on here that's, $1,500 all inclusive, including like all the peripherals, keyboard, mouse, headsets, as well as monitor, 1080p monitor, and a copy of Windows. So that's our goal for today. And like I said, it's going to be Kaby Lake, but we're only going to be building a gaming centric rig for 1080p gaming, so it's not going to be crazy over the top. We'll see what price point we end up with, but hopefully we end up under $1,500. So I'm going to show you how to go through all these different components here, as well as how to help you decide and what parts to use. So first off, we're going to start with a CPU. So we're going to go in Kaby Lake, and obviously this has more than just Kaby Lake. So this CPU, this is the same layout for all the different parts that you're going to be using. And I think it's default sorted by popularity. So today we're going to sort by, so there's different ways to sort it. So you got price, rating, manufacturer, series, family, socket. If they have integrated graphics, you can sort by cores, you can sort by speed. Obviously this is just standard stock speed. We have different TDPs. You can hyper-threaded CPUs, ECC memory support. So it has pretty much every CPU you can think of available on here. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort it by Kaby Lake S. Cool, and this gives us all of our Kaby Lake S processors. As you can see, some of them don't have prices next to them, and that's because there's no vendor that has these available. So we'll sort it by price. As you can see, there's a lot of different cheap processors on the Kaby Lake lineup. What we're going to go with is not quite overkill, but it definitely gives you some overhead as far as overclocking and some basic rendering, video rendering stuff. So I'm going to add this. We're going to choose the Intel Core i5 7600K. It's not a bad processor from what I've seen on it. I haven't gotten my hands on one because I didn't feel the need to upgrade from Skylake to Kaby Lake, but that's just me. So we've chosen that. Now CPU cooler is the next on this lineup, right? So CPU coolers, you have to decide if you're going to do a like hardline water cooling loop, or a custom water cooling loop, or if you're going to go with a heatsink and fans, or if you're going to go with an all-on-one. So this build, I think this CPU could do with an all-in-one, so that's what we're going to go with. Here is the CPU cooler page. So down the side on the sorting options, you have different categories this time. You have, of course, the price, the rating, the manufacturer, but now you have the height, you have the bearing, you have the CPU type, and if it's water-cooled, you have the different size radiators down here. You also have this fanless option. So two different schools of thought here. So you could either go the not all-in-one version, which would be a great one that I have actually, is the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. Super cheap, awesome reviews, keeps my 6600K nice and cool, even though it's overclocked to I think it's at 4.4 right now. So that's a great option. But for this build, I feel like since Kaby Lake does tend to get a bit hotter and you can have more overclocking headroom with a 7600K versus a 6600K, we are going to go with the Corsair H100i V2. So when you actually open up the part page, when you actually click on it, it gives you some pictures that it pulls from different merchant websites, as well as it gives you where it's pulling the prices from. So this CPU cooler is $100 from B&H. It's $100 from Newegg with free shipping. It also has that, which is super awesome. It has $102 from Best Buy, $102 plus from Jet, $110 from Amazon, and different vendors and the like. So a cool part about these pages is, so here you can add it to the parts list, you can save it to your favorite parts, you can add to your inventory of stuff that says you have. It also has, you know, different compatible parts here, so you can view the compatible CPUs, you can view compatible cases, you can view compatible motherboards. And this little handy feature is it has the price history, so it shows all the price ups and the price downs as long as this product has been in market. So right now, you can go back up to, I think it's 2 years, depending on when it was released. So they break this down by merchant, they break this down by obviously date, and they break it down by price. So it's kind of a handy tool. You can see at its lowest it was $89, $89.99 from Newegg. That's right around the middle of November there. So here you also have different reviews and different builds this was actually used in. So that's cool. So we're going to go with this for the 7600K on this build. I'm going to add it to the parts list. Alright, next we have the motherboard. So train of thought with this is, so we have a 7600K. We want to be able to overclock it because we have that all-in-one cooler. However, we want to keep the price, you know, at a happy medium. We're not going all out because this is just a 1080p gaming rig with some overclocking potential. So I want to make this ATX. I want to make it reasonably priced, and I want it to have at least a good rating. So we're also going to go with I also want it to be a Z270 board. That way I don't have to worry about any BIOS updates or anything like that. So we're going to sort it by form factor, ATX. We're going to sort it by chipset, LGA 1151, which is what Kaby Lake uses, much like exactly like Skylake. And we're going to sort it by chipset. So we're going to go Intel Z270 right here. Now on this, on the motherboard section, there's of course more different sorting methods you can use. Price, rating, manufacturer, socket and CPU, form factor, chipset, SLI or Crossfire support, SATA 3GB ports, SATA 6GB ports, SATA Express ports, M.2 ports, yada yada yada, all the way down to color. So it's pretty extensive what you can sort it by. But right now I have it sorted for all of the Z270 ATX boards that are out there right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort it by price. Okay, and when I get here, I generally think, okay, well, you know, this is cheaper here, but it has no ratings. So what you can do is you can click on it. It has no information, so your best bet would be to go to this this merchant site and see if they have any reviews on there. However, since this is a fairly new product, that's probably not going to be very likely. So we're going to keep scrolling down. Alright, so this has 2 4-star ratings for $154.99. However, the Asus board has 2 5-star ratings at $159.95. Let's go ahead and check out this. See, so this is where you would decide if you're trying to go with some sort of specific color scheme or not. But so this has RGBs along the side. It's got a decent enough heatsink on the VRMs. It's got an I/O shield on the top, I guess, and it's got a decent chipset cooler, as well as those LEDs on the PCIe Express slot. I don't know, but it has. This board looks good enough to me for this purpose. So you can visit the manufacturer's website. It's got and see that all the different things that this motherboard has. So we're just going to go ahead and throw this on our parts list. As you can see, we have our CPU picked out, we have our CPU cooler picked out, we have our motherboard picked out, and we're already at $498. So as far as hitting our $1,500 price point, it's not looking too hot. So once we're done with this assembling this build on the website, we're going to go through and we're going to start seeing where we can kind of cut back the price at different points. So we're going to move on to our memory. Memory is actually pretty expensive. So let's say I want a 16 gigabyte kit, 2 by 8 gig stick, so you have that upgradability in the future. I just want the cheapest RAM you can get. So right now it's the ADATA XPG Z1 DDR4 2400 megahertz, or the G.Skill Aegis DDR4 at 2133 megahertz. They're the exact same price. One has a 5-star review, one has a 4-star review. However, for $1 more, we have the Team Elite Plus DDR4 2400 megahertz at $95.99. So let's see what this. It's obviously been way cheaper, but now I don't know why the price is spiking like it is. So we're going to go ahead and just add that to our parts list. There's no picture. If you really want a picture, you can just Google the part. But for our purposes, this will be fine. So now we're going to choose storage. When it comes to storage, there's a bunch of different ways you can sort this as well. So you can sort by manufacturer, rating, price, of course, capacity. It has this handy little slider tool, as well as you can just manually type it in how much you want. So right now, we're going to look for a 120 gigabyte, just 120 gigabyte SSD. We don't want an M.2. We don't want to specify whether we want an M.2 PCIe Express based or a SATA based, but we definitely do want a 2.5 inch just in case. So now we're going to sort by price, and you have right here at $40, you have a 120 gigabyte SanDisk SSD with 4.5 star ratings. However, for $48.89, you have this ADATA ASP 550 SS3 120 GM, yada yada yada. It's a Premier SP51. It's 120 gigabytes. I have this. I used it before I upgraded to 750 gig SSD because I got a great deal on it, and it was a good SSD, so that's what I'm going to choose, and it's only $48. So in addition to that solid state drive, we're also going to go with this. We're going to give it a mechanical drive just for more storage space. So for this one, we're going to sort by 7200. That doesn't matter. We're going to go SATA 6 gigabyte, 3.5 inch, and we're going to sort by price yet again. So as you can see, just sorting it by price doesn't really weed out like a $24 250 gigabyte hard drive. So we're going to have to specify that we want it at least. So it's entered in gigabytes, as you can see. So I'm entering 1,000 gigabytes. That'll be 1 terabyte to 10 terabytes. So this should give us a pretty good baseline on how much a 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte hard drive costs. So for this, we're going to go 2 terabytes at $60. Not bad. Toshiba's not a terrible manufacturer, so we're going to just throw that on there. So this rig is going to be just for 1080p gaming, as we specified earlier. So we can go ahead and sort the GPUs by stuff that's, you know, the prime region for 1080p gaming. So right now, that would actually probably be the 1050 Ti or the GTX 1060 3 gig or the GTX 1060 6 gig. So we're going to have these as our selected GPUs. 1070 is kind of a bit of overkill. 1080 is definitely overkill. Titan X. I'm not familiar with AMD GPUs, but they do come at a great price point, so we are going to select the RX 470, which is good for 1440p gaming as well as 1080p gaming. You can sort it by different types of video RAM, the interface it uses, SLI or Crossfire support, even down to core clock, boost clock, DVI ports, HDMI ports, all these different connectors and all these different things that it's capable of, as well as color, yet again. So we have a pretty good selection of GPUs. We're going to sort it price low to high. And as you can see, 1050 Ti is obviously going to come in at the bottom, as well as, so you have a 1050 Ti 4 gig from MSI for $159.99, as well as a Power Color Red Dragon Radeon RX 470 at $163.98. Both of these have 4 gigabytes of VRAM. However, the 1050 Ti's core clock is a little bit higher. So for this build, for this purpose, I believe I'm going to go with the 1050 Ti from MSI right here. You can even go with the if you like the Super Clock Gaming ACX versions, you can go with this one for $1 cheaper. However, I'm going to go with the MSI just because I think they look cool. So now we have most of the core components, excluding the power supply, selected. So we're going to move forward with choosing a case. Now, when it comes to choosing a case, this is where going to manufacturer's pages actually becomes more and more common, because a lot of the times these are just words to me. So if, say, we want an ATX mid tower and color doesn't matter to us, don't want it to include a power supply, we can have our own. We don't care about the window, so no. Front panel USB 3, that's fine. Motherboard form factors, we'll just leave it at all, and all of these we'll just leave it like it is. So we just sorted it by ATX mid tower, and doesn't come with a power supply. So from here, sort by price. Obviously you have a bunch of different super cheap cases. So say I don't know what a Cooler Master N400 looks like, so I'm gonna click on it, and it just gives me this little picture. So from here, you can go to a manufacturer's website, So from here you can go to a merchant's website. We'll see what it comes up on Newegg, and you can view more different pictures as well as specifications. Whatever the merchant has on their site, that's what you'll see once you click this base price right here. For this build, I think I'm gonna go with, oh wait, where it is. Okay, so this is where the sorting can really kind of screw you over. So if you have a certain case in mind and you don't necessarily know what it falls into, or you don't know what PCPartPicker categorizes it as, that's where it can hurt you. So we're going to go back to all for the side panel window. We're just going to leave everything at all, and we're going to sort it by price again. So everything's sorted by price again, and the case that I want to choose for this build is the NZXT S340 White. Has a nice side panel window. A lot of other YouTubers have actually built in this case before, and it looks good to me. And it's got this nice little, if I can click on it, this right here is a cable management thing. You can hide all your messy, nasty cables behind, so that's pretty cool. It also has, different two little SSD trays right on the front of the power supply shroud. We're going to add that to our parts list. It's coming together. We're at $930, and so an awesome feature about PCPartPicker is it'll show you the estimated wattage that I'll use. Granted, this is for stock clocks on both, but it's still pretty cool. It gives you a nice little general idea of what you're going to be using. So choose a power supply. For this build, I don't see us needing more than a 500 watt power supply, even if we overclock it. So we're going to go to wattage, move this little slider to 500. We'll leave it open to 750. Maybe we can get a good deal. Sort by price. Now, power supplies are something that you really don't want to cheap out on, so I'm only sorting it by price to show you all of the different cheap options you could go with. So for the power supply, I have one in mind. We're gonna go with the EVGA Supernova GS 550 watt for 80 bucks. It's a fully modular 550 watt power supply rated at 80 plus gold. With our power supply chosen, we are now at $1,010.43 total if you do that $10 mail-in rebate from Outlet PC. So now is where we have to start making decisions. So we want to keep it under $1,500, yet we want to have a monitor, we want to have a mouse and a keyboard, and maybe a headset. We can see about that. So for here, obviously in a copy of Windows. So let's get that right now. So we're going to not choose software. We're going to choose an operating system, Windows 10, 64-bit home, 88 bucks. That's what I have. That's all I needed. It's the disk copy. However, all you really need is a key, as long as you have the capability to, make a USB stick into a Windows 10 ISO. So we're going to go with this. That brings us up to $1,099.01. So we're going to go ahead and choose a monitor. Now the monitor selection is pretty vague because aside from super expensive ones like the Acer Predator X34, the Asus ROG Swift, they're just these letters and numbers that nobody really knows like. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort it by 1920 by 1080, and we're going to leave the rest just set on default. So we're going to sort by price. With monitors, so you can cheap out on a monitor, but you're definitely not going to be utilizing your card to your full potential. So I would advise not, because what's the point of building a nice rig if you have a super shitty monitor? So we sorted by price. A lot of decent monitors in this price range. However, we're going to sort it by rating, high rating, and go from here. So automatically, right off the bat, we have a 21.5 inch screen, kind of small, with a 5 millisecond response time that's not IPS, but it has good ratings. So perhaps if you don't care about an IPS panel versus a TN panel, this is something you can go with. However, 21.5 inches is kind of small to have as a main display, so I'm going to go ahead and look a little bit higher. Right here we have a 23.6 inch monitor from Asus with a 2 millisecond response time that's also not an IPS panel, for $109. Not bad, but we're going to keep pushing forward. Right here we have a 23.8 inch display, 1920 by 1080 with a 5 millisecond response time. It is an IPS panel and it's for only $119. So let's go ahead and click on this and see what it actually looks like. So as you can see from this picture, it's got 2 HDMI inputs, a VGA input, power cable, as well as it looks like some audio pass-through. You can click on the merchant's page and see all the actual specifications. So we're going to do that here. As you can see, it comes in a 23.8 inch or 27 inch size. We're just looking at the 23 inch right now. Here are all the features of the monitor and stuff like that, specifications, what you really want, and all you're worried about is you want to make sure it has the correct connectors that would also be on your graphics card. So it has 2 HDMI is on the 1050 Ti, we're all good here. We are going to go ahead and put this on our parts list as our main monitor. So right now we're at $1,200, that means we got about, give or take, $300 to put a keyboard and a mouse on here. So there's two schools of thought with this. Again, you can either go the cheap route or you can go the expensive route. And I'm not even going to lie to you, when I did this I definitely cheaped out on the peripherals. However, the keyboard seemed to match up, but I got a great deal on a mouse on Black Friday, so I just replaced that. So if you go to add peripherals, choose a keyboard, this is what I did. I just sorted it low. I was like, well, I don't want that. I don't want any of this. However, I got to the Cooler Master, I believe it is, that makes the keyboard and mouse combo for like 20 bucks. Where is it at? Yeah, the Devastator 2 gaming combo. It comes with a keyboard and an optical mouse. So that's what I got. And it was like 25 bucks when I got it, but now it's 27. Still a pretty fantastic deal. However, if you want to go with a mechanical keyboard, we can go ahead and sort it that way, and there's different switch types. So we'll say we want Cherry MX Reds. We'll go with a gaming style keyboard, wired with a that is not 10 keyless. I like having the number pad. Color doesn't matter to me. Backlit. We'll go multicolor. If you want to go super fancy, mouse included, we'll say no. So it gives you these options right here. So Corsair K70 RGB wired gaming keyboard. It's got great reviews. It's a little expensive, but this keyboard will last for a while. So we can go ahead and throw that on there. And now we're looking for a mouse. Same concept. You can sort it by price and go super cheap and get like a Rosewell mouse for $3.99. However, this time we're going to sort it by rating. There you go. Logitech G502 optical wired mouse. Is this the one? Yeah, this one's not that bad. It has up to 12,000 DPI. The style I don't really like. I don't like quote unquote gamer oriented stuff that much right now, but who knows, that could change. So let's look at the Logitech G500 for a little bit more. Yeah, not my style. So I have I actually have the Logitech G303 Dataless Apex. I like this mouse. I like it a lot. It's got a smooth, sleek look. It's still got extra buttons on the side. It's got a DPI switch right here, and it's RGB, so it'll fit a lot of people's needs. And it's only $43. So now we have a grand total of $1,400, or $1,432.86. This isn't bad for pretty much including everything you're going to need in a build. It's under budget actually, so you can consider that an awesome thing. But since we have $1,500 and we want to spend it, so let's see if we can switch out this 1050 Ti for a 1060. So yep, there's a GTX 1060 3 gig Superclock Gaming from EVGA for $199. And look, we're still under budget, so maybe, just maybe, we can push it to a 1060 6 gig, which will give us a lot more room to upgrade our monitor and stuff in the future, and keep the same card. So, video card 1060 6 gig. Let's see what we got. The lowest price point. So we have a Zotac Mini 1060 6 gig for $238, and we have an EVGA Mini for $244. So let's see what this brings us to. $1,517. So that's a little bit over budget, but this card will be great. Definitely worth the, $17.86 over budget if you do your mail-in rebates. I would say this is worth it. Now when it comes to what to do with this parts list with your completed build that you have thrown together, you can either start a new one, say you want to scrap it and go completely, you can share it. So I'm going to be actually sharing this link in the description of the video down below, if in just case you want to have a starting point to work with and plug in your own numbers and stuff like that. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to save as. So say we want to save this as YouTube. Cool. So now it's saved as my YouTube build. You can see I have different builds already saved. I have a Skylake budget build that we actually threw together. That's the one you saw in last week's video. I have my super over-the-top one fucking day build with all my hardline water cooling parts and stuff like that thrown in there. Yeah, that's one fucking day. I also have my current setup. I can also link this in the description down below if you'd like. This is upgraded over time that I just, I've replaced the parts in and out on this parts list. So it's not what I started with, but it's upgraded over time. And then I have a build that I might do for my wife one day. So the next part of this website I want to go on is we can view the build guides. So all of these build guides are, you can sort them by different price points, what they're for, all that stuff. So let's look at this modest gaming build that the staff that Manny Relli put together. It shows all the different parts and it has a description of it as well. Some of these have, actual instructions and stuff like that, but they're definitely a great place to start if you have absolutely no idea what you want to do with it. The next part of the website we're going to go over is the See All Completed builds. So these are builds that people have, put together on here and have actually ordered the parts and built. So we're going to check out this high-end gaming computer. So as you can see, he's got all of the RGB in the world. Not really, but he's got a EVGA power supply, he's got a Crucial SSD, he's got a mechanical drive, a Razer mouse, and Corsair all-in-one. I think that's the H100i V2. I don't know. Let's see. It is the H100i V2. These are all the parts he used, and these, people are talking about his build and stuff like that. You can also share the links to different people's builds as well. And as far as browsing by individual parts goes, we have that too. So you can just look at CPUs, you can just look at SSDs or storage, video cards, power supplies, etc., etc. All these different types of software, various peripherals, external hard drives, monitors, cooling, drives, expansion slots, not expansion slots, stuff that goes in expansion slots. You can also sign up for an account through PCPartPicker, which is how you'll save your parts lists, which is, I find it useful. That way, if I'm bored one day, I can just throw together a build and see what's going to happen with it. See if I can afford it in the future. Maybe one day I can get it or something like that. Also, you can set it up to where it sends you price drop information every day. So it's pretty useful in that respect too, because say you're like, man, I want to put this computer together and all I have is X amount of money for this graphics card and I want to see if it'll ever drop below. You can just set that up and there you go. And that's PCPartPicker.com. It's an awesome tool to use, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and give me a subscription if you feel the need to. If not, it's okay too.